G'day boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Get Fit or Die Trying.
Well, how's it going boys and girls? Down here at Monarto Woodlands. I'm the only sole survivor down here at the moment, so I've got the place to myself. Going to start out with about 11 k's in here, then I'm going to head down, cross over to another part of the woodlands, and I'm going to take some of the moto single track that goes along the Princes Highway down into Kinchina, do a bit of the Cypress Hill Loop, Rocky Gully track, and come back all up. It's around about 56 k's or so, so we'll see how we go today. Blue skies, not a cloud in the sky, and around about 28 or so, so it's just gone 11:50. So yeah, it could get a little bit warm. We'll see how we go anyway. So as you can see here, nothing too technical. Just a bit of a bushy trail, fairly flat, horse trail kind of thing. Lots of cypress pines around. Running about 40 psi still. I haven't pumped them or let them down since we stuck the bikes on the rack leaving Melrose. So I can see already we've got a bit of sand here. I might have to let the pressures down a bit eventually, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully we don't get any bloody spider webs in the face. So there's a bit of a perimeter trail to begin with, and then it darts in and around inside the forest, so to speak. I'm going to try and stick with these pressures anyway because I'll get the most economy out of my battery. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a highly used track. It goes out and around and meanders a bit, so that's not too bad. Some views of the Murraylands and all that. It looks like a kind of clay type of surface that would get a bit slippery and boggy in the wet. Now, although these are easy green trails, you still need to make sure that you don't get any of these kind of like twiggy stick kind of things caught up in your wheels or your derailleur, stuff like that there, because it will cause some bloody damage. As you might have seen in one of my videos where I was on the South Para ride. Oh, fuck me. My derailleur has snapped off. I am cactus. I am toast. That, guys.
That is a trophy.
That is fucking kaput. So yeah, ripped it right off my XT derailleur. $200 worth. So I've always got my fingers on the brakes, you know. I'm just ready. If I hear a twig get inside, crunching away, bang, straight on the picks, mate. Pull her up, pull it out before it makes its way up inside the bloody cassette. And I'm always kitted up. You know, it's like one of these things that's where if you don't wear it, it's at that time when you're going to need it. Went out riding the Melrose with Jason on the weekend. Well, not the weekend, during the week. Hey, Skip. And there's a few around here. Yes, he didn't kit up. He took a couple of stacks. One of them was pretty bad. Nothing broken though. Bit of a rip seat on the bike. Bit of an egg on the shoulder. Bit of a scab on the face. And lucky for him, he was still able to ride. So you've got to be wary too for bits of wire. Sometimes wire from fencing just sort of gets left on the trail. Chuck it right. And yeah, that can get caught up in your bloody drivetrain as well. It's actually bigger than I thought, this place. You can just see a bit of a worn trail. Yeah, so the Kiox navigation, it's okay. You just got to keep an eye on it all the time, that's all, because there's no physical audible warnings about, where's the trail here? Just here, righto. Where to go. Obviously keep an eye out for the slithery things too, because don't want to get them caught in my back wheel either. Had that happen to me once before, 20 or more years ago. The grass around here is not too bad, it's not too long. Long grass scares me this time of year. Yeah, due for a service too. Got about 4,300 on the bike so far. Supposed to be a 4,000k service. But everything's going alright at the moment. Push it out to 5, see how we go. Oh yeah, a bit of a rubbish dump here, eh? Let's just keep an eye out for bloody glass and shit. Filthy pigs. God. You come all this way out here just to dump your shit. What a wanker. Chuck a lefty here. So now just on a small section of the Lavender Federation Trail. This is actually part of the Lavender Federation Trail cycling trail. I'm not 100% sure whether it's sort of shared here with a walking trail as well, because there are two separate trails for the Lavender Federation Trail, one's for walking, one's for cycling. The cycling one mainly goes onto dirt roads and to sealed roads, but within sort of Monarto and Kinchina there are sections of single track which you can ride. This one here being relatively firm, going past Monarto Safari Park and towards Kinchina it does get quite sandy, but we'll get to some of that a little bit later. In fact, I'll probably divert slightly further onto more single track, which is kind of a moto trail that had been generated by motorcycles that sort of runs parallel to Old Princes Highway. But yeah, it's nice to be able to get a bit of single track in here, because, you know, within this sort of section of Monarto Woodlands Reserve, it's pretty much just all double track. Alrighty, so the Lavender Federation Trail continues on along here somewhere. Not quite sure if it's along the road or over that fence there or what. Not a bad view there, Mount Barker in the distance. Oh, there you go, look at that. Callington Spur, Lavender Federation Trail. Definitely want to give a crack at that one day. For now though, we go over the other side to these other woodlands. So we're on the Olearia Trail. Righto, hopefully it's not too much tree litter. Alrighty. Well, that was the Olearia Trail done and dusted. Quite an enjoyable little green trail, that one. Not sure how long it was, but it felt like about, I don't know, 7 or 10 Ks or something. Now we're going to head over the other side of, over the road over here. I think there's a bit of Lavender Trail, single trail, moto trail, one of the three. Callington Spur, Lavender Federation Trail. Oh yeah, there's that bit of single track in there as well, which is all windy and twisty, probably a little bit more churned up than what this is. I'll take a bit of it. Whoa, Jesus, nearly lost my foot there. I'm glad I'm wearing the moto gloves today because I'm copping some smacks on the hands. Definitely harder work on this side than that side. I might zip back onto that one when I can. So in between the Olearia Trail, Monarto Woodlands exit up until the western trailhead for Kinchina Conservation Park and all the mountain bike trails there, you've got about 11 Ks of this stuff. Alright, so you can just take the Old Princes Highway, which is just on the right here as you can see, which is a blacktop road with 100 Ks an hour speed limit, if you wanted to. Alright, so if you're on a gravel bike perhaps, you know, there's some of this stuff here, the sand can get a bit deep, narrow tyres, you're probably not going to get too far, you might just want to ride along that. There is a bit of a shoulder there, slightly, you know, gravel sort of shoulder that can take you along, but you know, it's a bit of a boring ride. If you're a mountain bike rider, this stuff's a lot more fun, especially if you're an e-bike rider, because you know, with the sand, you're definitely going to want to have really strong legs, a lot of endurance, or an electric motor to give you some assistance. So as we go here, you can see the sand is starting to get real deep. All right, now as we come closer towards the Monarto Safari Park, the sand turns even into that kind of white, beachy kind of sand, and it gets even deeper onto some twisty single track. Oh, by the way, that's that rail line. There's a bit of track that goes along that as well. If you want to take it, you can basically get all the way to Manham. Alright, so there is also this kind of trail that you see here, probably a little bit wider, a little bit more sandier, but it'll get you all the way to Manham if you're keen on that. But yeah, a bit of fun. Like I say, much better to ride along here as a mountain bike rider than on the blacktop. Okay, so we're just about to come up to the part where the sand turns into the sort of almost white kind of beachy sand on this twisty single track. Just as we cross over here, this is the entrance to the Monarto Safari Park, or a previous entrance, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, we're getting quite deep. Now this goes on for a few hundred metres. I've got to sort of cut it down a bit, edit it out, because it just goes on and on and on. Lots of whoop-de-doo, so it gets quite hard. And yeah, basically I'm going to take that little road alongside the fence of the safari park there, because it is flatter and easier. Oh, ridiculous. Now if I was to lower my tyre pressures, I could have got through there probably a little bit easier, but I'd probably have to go quite low, you know, like sub 20 psi. So I've been running 40 psi this whole time, and my tyres are only 2.5 inches wide. So I mean, they are Assa guys, so they are quite knobbly and they're quite soft rubber, but there's only so much that they can do when you're in. I'm not that keen on putting my pressures up and down all the time. So now just taking a bit of a deviation off the actual Callington Spur Lavender Federation Trail, which is to the left there along the tree line, to go on this little section here, which is more of a moto trail, sort of been generated by motorcycle riders, off-road riders riding alongside the railway line here. There's a really nice section of trail, not as much sand as back there in front of the safari park. There still are a few sections here and there, but it's a bit more rocky, a bit more loose, a bit more winding, tiny little bit of elevation over some sort of rocks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great fun little trail. This will lead you to the western trailhead for Kinchina mountain bike trail. So yeah, definitely worth riding this bit if you want to find a little bit more adventure than just the sort of straight flat track, which actually is a little bit sandier, I find, because I did take it on the way back because I was feeling pretty tired. How good is it to be able to ride this kind of length of off-road single trail? We're not on gravel roads, you know, we're not on a bloody shoulder of a bitumen road. This is like unadulterated single track, and it's in the middle of scrub, you know, you're out in the bush. Like, it's bloody awesome. 11 k's of this between those 2 points I mentioned earlier. If you want to ride it even further, you can go from Callington pretty much all the way to Murray Bridge if you just want to follow the Old Princes Hwy. Cypress Hill.
Alrighty, so we're not actually at the Western Kinchina mountain bike trailhead, which is on Maurice Road. We're basically on the, what would be the northern side of the railway line, which basically is the start of Cypress Hill Trail. Alright, so we're in Kinchina anyway. We're going to take Cypress Hill as far as we can, which is all the way to the end, and then we're going to go up along the Rocky Gully Trail, back out of the Western trailhead, and then, yeah, I'm basically going to take all that single track as far as I can, all the way back to the car.
Forgot how many turns there was on this thing. Probably could do with pressures down a bit, but we're getting much better mileage like this. And it's a bit fun skating around.
Righto, so after that flowy stuff, we're coming into our first little techie climb, which is a switchback one. You've got a little bit of rocky stuff here. It's quite tight with the switchback turns as well. So on an e-bike, just make sure that you're in a reasonably easy gear, you know, like maybe anywhere between 8 and 10, and have the seat post down as you go around the corners. There's no need to get a foot out. You can just keep that balance because your weight is low. All right, you're not up high on the seat post. There's no chance of you tipping over. And yeah, with all these rocks that are quite nodular and that, you just got to make sure you've got enough momentum to get through it. So it's easily done on an e-bike. I've done it on an analog bike as well. Just got to make sure like momentum is the key, you know. So as we get closer to the peak, you've got a bit of a techie rocky climb to get through. Now, as some of these rocks become closer to your wheels, you want to make sure that you haven't got your derailleur at its most extended kind of point, you know, so you're not in your easiest gear, because what that's going to do is make your derailleur more vulnerable to getting scrapes or knocks by rocks, and you don't want to damage your derailleur or your hanger, all right, because obviously that's like the main part of your bike that keeps your bike going. It's your drivetrain. And me being really paranoid of my derailleur these days, I'm really sort of thinking about that sort of stuff. So sometimes I'm going for a slightly harder gear than I would normally sort of feel comfortable at, but you know, I'm just using eMTB for some of this stuff as well, which means that, you know, you can give it that little bit of a kick on the pedals with the Bosch motor, and it gives you that little bit of extra thrust to get up over some of this like real techie stuff as well. So it eliminates, you know, strikes on your derailleur, but still gets you up and over. So just bear that in mind. If you're rocking Shimano, it's a little bit different, but with the Bosch motor, yeah, there are a few little advantages to it. Now with this creek crossing here, you want to make sure you take the right hand line. As you can see, you've got a big slab here and it's a much easier line than the left hand line. Make sure you're in about mid-range on your cassette, and make sure that you're up on your pedals and your seat post is down so that you've got a bit of clearance if things get a bit gnarly, and just keep the momentum and you'll get through it, no worries. It's actually really easy. As opposed to this stuff here. Now, I've never ridden through here. I've never seen anybody ride through here. I just think that, especially on an e-bike, you're asking for trouble. It's probably about a foot or more deep towards the middle, and these stepping stones, some of them are about 30 centimeters apart, so yeah, it's not going to end well. Your front wheel is going to get caught in there. You're going to go arse over tit. You're going to end up in the water, and it's not going to be a nice time. So just walk and pick your bike up where you need to, and yeah, maybe one day they'll improve this stuff so you can actually ride through here, but at the moment it is what it is. Right, so just proceed with caution. Rightio, so we're now into rock and roll territory. We've got the Rocky Gully Trail here, and it is quite treacherous. You want to just be aware of your derailleur and pedal strikes, and make sure you got your thumb ready on the dropper post, because you're going to want to get your foot down here and there. It is quite treacherous to get through here without a dab. Alright, it is reasonably techy. It does tend to get a little bit easier after about the first couple of 100 meters or so, alright, but there are still sections where you will want to just be on the ready, because yeah, there are some points where you just might want to, you know, just look after that derailleur. You know, that's the most crucial part on these bikes. It's that goes, your day is ended, you've got a long walk back to the car. So as you can see, they don't call this Rocky Gully Trail for nothing. There are heaps of rocks around here, and they're all out there to catch your low-hanging fruit, which is your derailleur. So just make sure that you haven't got yourself in the easiest gear with that derailleur hanging down, because it's going to get caught out. It's not going to end well. Can't stress it enough. Make sure you're in a decent power range. So, you know, keep yourself mid-range on the cassette, and just, yeah, keep powering on. So we're coming towards the end of the Rocky Gully Trail, and to be honest, as you get closer towards the western trailhead, there's just this real sort of tight section of really rocky, techy kind of stuff to get up. So you get down the bottom here and you think, oh, it's all good, it's going to be all nice and flat, but it's just a small little section. Then you come up along the fence line here, all right, and then just around this corner here, it gets really tight. It's a little bit steep and it's quite rocky and it's pretty bloody techy. So I didn't get any dabs done, almost, but pretty slow here.
Oh, yeah, come on, that's it. No dabs.
So it's all in the balance and all about the power delivery and just making sure that you've got that decent sort of power band on your selection, you know, for your power mode, and you can get up that sort of stuff. Anyway, this is the last ascent, and we're coming back down now onto the plains or the flat terrain. Basically just going to weave in between these trees here and get ourselves to the trailhead. Yeah, so no other cars around, didn't see any other riders around. It wasn't really that hot, it was less than 30 degrees, so yeah, pretty good times. Anyway, gonna leave the video here because it's basically just all that single track all the way back to the car, and you've seen it all before. I don't want to bore you any longer. This is a pretty long bloody video, but I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, go out and explore this area. It's really good. You've got that epic amount of bloody single track that just goes on for miles and miles and miles. So thanks for watching, and catch you next time. Ta-da!